Welcome back to the Bad Pipes podcast. Before this episode really starts, just want to say something goofy happened with our intro, so that's what this is going to be. Welcome back, you wacky wizards. I also want to say that everything we talk about in this episode is coming from a place of love. We love Star Wars. We're just frustrated with what's been going on. And that being said, I guess we're just going to get into it.
Andrew Weaver, also known as Donald Trump's favorite son.
That's fucked up. I don't like either of our candidates. When's the last time I voted? I don't even know when the last time I voted was.
God, you're so un-American.
This week we're talking about How to Train Your Dragon and Star Wars: The Riverdale Saga.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
Scott's coming in with the heaters.
Yeah, it's bad. It's bad out there in them internet trenches right now. Getting flat from both sides, boys.
Where do you want to
start? What do you want to start with?
I almost want to start with these articles that I posted in the general chat up here. So we got Collider just running hit pieces on the fans. Star Wars' biggest problem is the fans. Then you've also got a Collider interview. Leslie Headland says it's so clear what's going on between Osha and Kamir. I think both of these, we don't even have to read them. Like, if you want to read them, audience, they're out there. You can find them pretty easily. But I feel like these articles right here are the exact example of what is wrong with, like, journos and fan-based franchises and stuff. So, Star Wars' biggest problem is the fans. Let's just take that title. That headline. The people who support your shit are the biggest problem.
If you would have presented me with this article pre Disney taking over Star Wars, I may have agreed with it, because I used to talk shit. I used to talk shit on the fan base when they would pick apart and say that the prequels were trash, and I used to say, I used to just be like, fucking Star Wars fans can't have anything nice. They can't be happy.
Yeah, but, it's the people versus George Lucas crowd that just made the fans look bad.
Yeah, but now it's like, I don't know.
I also feel like to go off of that point that Isaac just said. I feel like the kind of, like, nerddom that I've never really gotten along with are those people. The, like, I go to the card shop and I play MTG at the fucking card shop people. Like, for some reason, I just don't get along with those people. I don't know why, but, like, I do not click with them.
Because they're chuds.
Yeah. You're talking like the neckbeardy.
I guess I would probably say, like, your neckbeard, basement dwelling MMO player type people.
Yeah.
I'm swinging at everyone right now.
He's just an angry blind kid right now.
I don't know. I was always a fan of the prequels. I never had an issue with them, and I used to get into debates with people that were just like would trash them. I'd be like, "You're just wrong." And now we see how much worse it can be. Like, since the Disney takeover, I mean, there have been very few highlights in there. I mean, Andor and Rogue One.
Mando.
The biggest
the first
issue
seasons of Mando
is that they can't do, like, a cohesive narrative, right? So the prequels at least have a cohesive narrative. The shit we're getting now is terrible. Like, the third season of Mandalorian was utterly pointless. You had characters going in circles, doing things for no reason, and that's the exact same thing that you have in this show. You've got, like, May's motivations change practically scene to scene. It's like, oh, walk up to Sol with a knife out, then okay, I guess I'll pilot the ship for him now since he asked me to. Now I'm gonna go, like, fight Sol again, and she gets beat up by the fucking. Everyone's been calling Basil the gopher from. Oh shoot! What's the golf movie with what's his name?
You mean Caddyshack?
Caddyshack. The gopher from Caddyshack.
You're welcome, Internet, for understanding that ridiculous explanation. Like, the gopher from that golf movie with what's his name? That's what you give me?
How many other golf movies have gophers in them that are like a major point of the movie?
Caddyshack 2.
Caddyshack. Anyway, have you seen the side-by-side picture of Basil and the gopher?
No, is it pretty spot on?
It's almost 1-to-1.
That's awesome.
But yeah, like, you've got like Benny Hill shenanigans going on the ship. They kind of lead you to believe in this episode that like May has sabotaged the ship. There's nothing to go off of that. Like, the ship just doesn't work for some reason. It never shows her sabotaging it, never shows anything.
Yeah.
This whole show is premised on the idea that you're gonna keep watching because it's Star Wars.
Yeah. No, I think we suffer. Like, Disney tries so hard to like subvert and to like bring in surprise, do it. Like, I don't know, they just make everything convoluted. Like the Rey trilogy, that suffered from like trying to be unpredictable and subvert expectations, and you just get this very convoluted, boring, kind of shitty story. But like, I don't know, the original and the prequel trilogy like both kept things very like, it was very simple.
Yeah, and for them to call the Rey trilogy the Skywalker saga, the end to the Skywalker saga, and there was like, by the end of the series, not a single Skywalker descendant alive whatsoever. There is zero legacy.
But Weaver, she called herself Skywalker. That's so.
I don't fucking care, man.
You have to understand, like, she's not Jedi, she's not Sith, she is a Skywalker.
She's Skywalker. It's the new gray Jedi. You understand?
It's like how the Jedi named the Sith. Like, the Jedi call the Sith because it's a slur.
You're trying to educate Andrew too, because he just doesn't seem to get it.
God,
you know, just like the Jedi came.
That's another one. Screen rant with the Star Wars may have just massively retconned Sith history with one line, and then to fucking right, the term Sith may have been a Jedi-created slur for dark side users, which the Sith later reclaimed, is so fucking preposterous. It's so clearly rage bait that, like, it truly blows my mind that someone okayed that to be written. And in the old days, you could have been like, this dumbass clearly doesn't know the fucking lore.
Not anymore.
But now the argument against that is, oh, Disney deleted all of the legends and canon and expanded universe stuff. So, like,
that's not true. You can still buy them at Abraxas Books on Beach Street.
Nice.
Anyway.
Isaac.
What?
What was your favorite part of this episode?
My favorite part of this episode is that the Jedi from the High Republic era apparently are all a bunch of nihilist, self-important assholes who are so disconnected from the Force that they can't tell when somebody has switched places with somebody else.
Yeah,
you also can't notice a very noticeable fucking forehead tattoo.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, my favorite part of this episode was the fact that they're implying that Ymir was Vernestra's Padawan at some point, with the lightsaber whip and the scars on his back.
Yeah.
And that Vernestra is seemingly going to be the big bad of this show.
Ooh, you think?
And that Leslie Headland made it her wife because the nihilism of the characters can only be reflected in nepotism of the showrunner.
Yeah. My favorite part is that lightsabers can just go flaccid.
Yeah, dude.
Flaccid. Just sling that thing around, Just sling it.
Spit on that thing.
And still have the power to fully cleave something in half.
Yeah, it made me so. Isaac, I watched that part, and I told Andrew this yesterday. I said out loud. I sat up. And I said, "This is fucking stupid." And my girlfriend, my girlfriend went, "What?" And I go, "She just took out her lightsaber and it became a whip." And she goes, "Oh yeah, that's really dumb." And she doesn't even watch any of the current Star Wars series. And she even was just like, "Yeah, that's really fucking stupid."
I also saw online that somebody said that a purple lightsaber means that you're more in tune with the dark side than a regular Jedi, which is just the dumbest. I don't know who came up with that, but it's dumb.
Yeah.
That shit that they came up with back with what's his name?
Mace Windu?
Yeah, with Mace Windu, to be like, he has gone through dark times, but he's overcome it. And so,
you know why he had a purple lightsaber?
Because he requested it.
Yes, because he asked George Lucas, "Can it be purple?" And George Lucas was like, "Yeah, sure, why not?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think they should have left it with only Mace Windu. And it's dumb. And they
he
also
had to climb the Mount Everest of the Star Wars universe in order to get that purple kyber crystal.
Also, don't know if you know this or not, but on Mace Windu's lightsaber, it actually says BMF.
That motherfucker? Are you serious?
Yeah.
Let's go.
Love that. Do we have an explanation to why her lightsaber is a whip or why it can do that?
Because in Legends, 1 or 2 characters had lightsaber whips. And lightsaber whips actually go back a really long way in the expanded universe. It goes back to, I think, comics or stories that came out after the original trilogy, with Luke fighting remnants of the Empire kind of stuff. And they actually function very differently. So lightsaber whips used to be a bunch of chained beam emitters.
Okay.
So it was more of a whip chain that had the ability to function as a lightsaber, right?
That's cooler than what they had.
Yeah, that makes a lot more sense.
At some point, it got changed to it's just as you've been joking, a flaccid lightsaber.
So it was like a vibroblade, so there was an actual metallic component to it?
It was just a chain of emitters.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, that makes a lot more sense than just I can just bet the light of my lightsaber, the actual beam just fucking bends.
Yeah.
Flaccid beams, dude.
It makes no fucking sense.
That's going to be the name of our next podcast, our Star Wars focus one. It's going to be called Flaccid Beams. What's up?
Who is Kamir? Who is he?
He's probably the guy who started the Knights of Ren, the first Ren.
He's Darth Plagueis.
No, he's not.
He's Darth Plagueis.
There's no way he's Darth Plagueis. He could be Darth Bane.
Dude, I'm just going to say this. All of the expanded universe shit that's come out since Disney took over is so fucking boring. This Knights of Ren shit, boring. High Republic,
actually,
boring.
There is credence to him being Darth Plagueis, now that you say that, Scott, because of her asking how old he is, and he's like...
Hey, yep. That's
as
soon as she said, "Well, I've never heard of you," and he goes, "Well, I was a Jedi a long time," basically saying he's been around for a while. I'm like, oh, they're gonna pull that. This is your Phantom Menace prequel. This is your prequel to the prequels. Is that this motherfucker is Darth Plagueis and he's extending his life, so he's much older than he looks.
But then the question that I have is, why did they play the Kylo Ren music for him when they were in the forest?
I don't know.
Because they're unoriginal.
That's fair.
Yeah.
They steal lines from all the movies. They steal scenes from other more popular movies. Nothing about this show is original. It's all derivative. It's all bad. It's all bad fan fiction. And at this point, it's turned into a bad CW drama show. But to lend credence to this is Darth Plagueis, and he's been alive for much longer than we could possibly believe. Vernestra Rowe, her character, actually is in the early High Republic books, so her character is probably 100-something years old at this point in the lore.
Okay.
Yeah, I've also heard that some people who have read the High Republic books say that her character is not at all like how her character is portrayed in the books.
Well, that's not surprising.
Yeah. Well, whenever you consider that they've had zero respect for anything else that has come in the canon.
Yeah, it's not surprising. Not surprised.
And so another aspect of this episode that we can talk about is the female gaze.
Yeah, the sexualization of Star Wars was a lot.
I was about to suggest we get into that, the pool scene.
Yeah, so I found a video where someone listened to the, you know how if you're blind you can have the like audio description.
I did. Yep, saw that.
Yeah, that's fucking cringe, dude.
Yeah, it's super.
Because it's like Osha keeps her predatory gaze on Kamir as he like goes into the pool or whatever, and you're like, what the fuck is this, dude? Like, this is just like cheap smut.
Well, the problem is before that, the most sex that had ever been in Star Wars besides a kiss, was the like sexiness was literally just Padme having her stomach exposed, and that's it. Like, there wasn't anything else. That was all there was.
And I think I mentioned like the closest you get to like sexiness is like the dancers in Jabba's palace, but they're there to show that Jabba's a bad guy.
Right, they're prisoners, they're slaves.
Yeah, he's like taking advantage of people. He's a fucking crime boss. He's a menace to society.
They're not there of their own free will.
I mentioned this to Scott yesterday when we thought we were going to record, but Star Wars, like, I'm the first person to be like, oh, boobies in a show, butts in a show, cool. But
you degenerate.
For like, Star Wars is not the place for that. Like,
no, it's like Lord of the Rings. It doesn't belong there either.
Yeah, if you had like a sex scene between freaking Arwen and what's his name, you'd be like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah. Nobody would support that.
Yeah.
Same thing with Star Wars.
It's just awkward and it doesn't make sense. And then for like one of the big things for, oh, Star Wars is stupid, it's made for children. Are you going to tell me that this episode was made for children?
Yeah, no. Yeah, it was bad.
It's very much hinging on that, like, it's almost going into softcore territory.
Well, also, like, Osha and May are both evil at this point. Like, there is no good one. They're both going to end up being bad. But then the whole idea is going to be like, oh, they're not. Like, they're not bad, but the Jedi are bad.
They're not bad because they were manipulated by men in power.
Yes. Everybody's just misunderstood.
They're manipulated by white adjacent men in power.
What? Why is he Asian? That dude. It is crazy to me that they've started calling Asian people white adjacent. Like, that is like so offensive if you're Asian.
Very fringe, ridiculous individuals. On the internet saying shit like that.
So Acolyte's still bad.
It's irredeemably bad.
It
doesn't matter how good these last two episodes are.
Bad. Yeah.
There's no way to come back from this. And then, like, the sets are terrible. And also, like, there's big holes in the show. Like, the ship doesn't work. It's a Jedi ship at the height of the Jedi power where, like, you would imagine that these ships are maintained at a high level. Why does the ship just not freaking work this episode?
Because they needed a reason for them to be stuck out there.
Yeah. And also, I think this is the fourth episode, maybe third, I guess, because of the flashback episode, where Sol has been like, Osha, I'm going to tell you what happened 16 years ago. It's time for me to tell you what happened 16 years ago. I need to come clean to the High Council. And you're like, just fucking say it, man. If they had said it third episode and you could just had a show where like the ramifications of that are playing out, where it's like first episode, introduction to characters, second episode, your stupid flashback scene with your fingering the sky, and then like an episode where they're like back. I don't know, like the 30-minute episodes are a major detriment to this show, to this narrative, because you're sitting here going, why for the past 2 hours of me watching this show do I keep hearing, oh, I'm going to tell you what happened? It's so frustrating. And at this point, I literally don't care. Just show it to finish the story.
You know what? I wish that the show was about a Jedi who did do something super fucked up, like Massacre Village of Lesbian Space Witches. And then we have to watch them go back to the Jedi Temple, and it's like an episode of Columbo where it's like, you know the crime, but you have to watch as people figure it out, and as that's happening, they're slowly being seduced by the dark side. I'd watch the fuck out of that. That's not what we
like
got, though.
That character that did that is like slowly descending, right?
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Becoming a real piece of shit. And then the climax of the show is like
shirtless in a pond.
They get offed. I was gonna say
they get off.
They get off.
Just eye contact, masturbation, full on, right to the camera lens.
Yeah, with the vibrating lightsaber whip. I truly hate this show.
I know you do.
This show has made me like I'm almost at the point where I'm almost at the point where I hate Star Wars. Because this show is just like, hey, there is no going back. Like, you're never gonna have good Star Wars again. Like, the people in control of Star Wars think that this is what Star Wars should be.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to think that much longer. Should write a letter to Donald Trump that when he wins presidency again, that he fixes Star Wars.
Oh, did you hear him say that when he's elected, he's going to make it so that tips aren't taxed?
Yeah.
I was like, whoa. That's a lot of money the government's going to be losing out on.
Doesn't matter because he's going to invade Mexico and Canada, so we'll make up for it.
That's all right. Canada needs a proper government anyway.
You know what? You know what is a good show? House of the Dragon.
You think?
Best episode this week was the best episode of this season so far. Hands down. And the Dance with Dragons it's done. The next episode is the Dance with Dragons. You know how many people are going to die in the next episode? I can tell you, a lot.
I don't know. Seems like they've been pacing it pretty well. I think we might start getting fights.
Oh yeah, we're getting fights. Promise. The dance is about to begin.
I will say, something I've seen is that people are like, man, this show seems like really focused on dicks.
There's been one dick. I don't know why everybody's freaking out.
What are you talking about? There's a full-on blowjob happening in the foreground in the one shot, and then there's Aemon just standing there with his dick out for like...
It's Game of Thrones, there's always dicks.
A 30-minute scene.
His dick was on camera for 5 seconds.
There's been more screen time for penises than for boobies.
Yeah. That's always been Game of Thrones.
What?
Yeah.
Dick.
No way, dude.
Yeah, dude.
Also, no one likes looking at dicks. Isn't that like the big thing on the internet? Don't send dick pics. No one likes looking at dicks.
You're such an alt-right fascist boy.
Everyone likes looking at boobs. Put more boobs in the show. That's all I'm saying.
Olivia Cook and Emma Darcy are not going to show their boobs on camera.
I don't need to see their boobs. But someone's boobs needs to be seen.
Oh my god. That last scene when Alicent realizes that it was all a misunderstanding.
Yeah, and that she doubles down. That was a really strong scene.
That was really good. And she's like, it's too late because of her son Aegon, and because of Aemon. She's like, it's just too late. I was like,
yeah, because she's been like utterly pushed out of power.
Yeah, and her father. That scene where Aegon's like, "You're not the Hand anymore, so Kristen Cole is the Hand." I was like, "Whoo, whoo."
Yeah, that was wild because I thought they were building up to Mr. Stanky Leg getting the Hand.
Nah.
I mean, the foot.
Well,
you mean the foot?
Foot?
The foot of the king.
They've already changed a lot from the book, which just reads like a history book. It does not actually like George R. Martin is absolute dog shit at writing dialogue. So the Fire and Blood, the book doesn't have like, it's not written like a novel. It's written like a history book, and they've already changed quite a bit in a good way. Honestly, the show is way better than Fire and Blood. But
but that's like saying if they made a show out of certain stories from the Silmarillion, the show would be better because it brings color and life to a lot of those things. As long as they were fucking true to the story.
So, and that's the thing. Like George R. Martin has come out and said like he's like a huge fan of the show because he's like, they're doing things that I didn't do, but that are so true to the characters that I wrote that I really like it a lot. But anyway, there is a moment coming up soon in the book in this next episode that I am very excited about. So, hells yeah. I mean, I think the show probably can get a third season, but there's only about 3 seasons worth of content before it's like they can't keep going. So, very excited.
Yeah, I mean, just in general, the show's been good so far. I think I feel like I was really impressed with the dialogue in the first season, and there have been like a couple times more recently where I'm like, this isn't as strong as it used to be.
Well, you had Paddy Considine as Viserys, right? Who's just like one of the greatest, like, underutilized British actors.
Yeah,
and he was so good.
Like one of the performances of his lifetime.
Yeah, it was such a good performance.
But like the show still has moments where there's really strong dialogue. Like again, like you mentioned, the Rhaenyra and Alicent conversation was very good. Very good. Yeah. And it showed you what we all knew already, right? So now it's a concrete fact in the world. And it adds like stakes and elevates the consequences of these things. So it adds to the drama. It adds to the value of it.
The value of the drama. The drama value. Yeah. You know what doesn't have dramatic value? The Acolyte. Fuck that show. And I liked episode 5. I thought they were going to save it. No. No.
You had too much faith. Welcome back, Isaac.
Welcome back to the right side of history.
You. All right. I'm back on the dark side.
Yeah, welcome back to the black side of the Force.
Uh-oh.
Jesus.
Golly. What else is going on? What else do you want to talk about?
What do we got?
Let me just
Is he still there? Do we lose him?
I'm still here.
1 year ago. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
All right. 1 year ago, I looked you in the eyes at Star Wars Celebration, and I asked you if we were getting enemies to lovers in the Acolyte, and look at us now. Who would have thought? Leslie Headland, we made it. Laughs. Somehow we made it. I was terrified when you asked me that question because I'm not a great actor. I was like, just tell her no and move on.
What's she talking about?
So, this is a Collider interview with Leslie Headland talking about the Acolyte and talking about specifically right there Osha and Kamir.
Okay.
Basically boiling the show down to shipping.
Enemies and
Shipping,
lovers.
for anyone who doesn't know, is relationshiping, shipping. It's putting certain characters together in your mind and saying it would be interesting or not if they had a relationship. This is very popular, I would say, with younger crowds. I hate it.
Barely.
I hate it. So basically in this interview, Headland goes through and says that, well, here's a good quote. The interviewer asks, aside from the obvious allusions to other ships, are there any other enemies to lovers dynamics and informed decisions you were making as you were playing with these two characters? Headland says, that's a good question. Interviewer replies, there are so many. Headland replies, there are so many, but I'm going to say no because I was really working from muscle memory. I didn't want it to quote something else. I wanted to just click into the kind of stuff that I wrote when I was in high school. I love these characters. Nobody wants to ship these characters more than I do. I love them so much. I love the Stranger. There's always a character that's an avatar for me that I really, really love. And then she brings up her other show, Russian Doll. The Stranger's obviously a badass, but I mean, much more than his character. I'm not going around doing fantastic lightsaber battles and murdering people and being an all-around badass, but I would say that what he talks about in this episode and what he talked about in episode 5 is something I really dug down. Then Osha's inner conflict fits with his ideology, and yet they're on opposite ends of the spectrum, just like she and her sister started at the beginning of the show. I wanted to stay true to my characters. I tried my best to just stick with the tropes and the stuff that I loved and tried not to think about, especially with the classics. I think I would have been a little too, quotes, around it if that were the case. So she basically says her intention was to have this enemies to lovers trope happening in this show, which is like a highly sought after trope with the shipping community because they're like, oh, it's so, I don't know, fucking romantic or some shit for people to like hate each other and then like come together. But the issue with it is that Osha knows this dude has just like murdered a bunch of people, murdered Jackie, who she was like becoming friends with, murdered Yord, who was like her old friend. I mean, she was knocked out, so she doesn't know if, like, May and Sol are alive.
Doesn't seem too concerned about it.
Yeah. Again, like, character motivations are just, like, not there whatsoever in this show. And whenever you look at this shit where she's like, yeah, I just went to muscle memory and was writing what I would in high school. It's like, I mean, I would never be like, yeah, I'm trying to write what the kind of stuff I wrote in high school. Like, that's so, I mean, it's why the show has such a like juvenile feel, like characters doing things for no reason, motivations being at the whim of the wind, basically. Super frustrating. And it used to be that, like, Star Wars, right? Like, George Lucas has said that Star Wars was about, like, presenting, like, morals and, like, trying to show kids how they should live their lives, right? Like, there's evil in the world. You should always strive against evil, and by making evil decisions, you become evil. This show is like arguing against that, basically. It's like, no, you're subject to the situations around you. Like,
evil is cool. Being bad is cool.
Being bad is sexy.
Bad people are shirtless in lakes. Cool. So hot. Yeah, it's not good. What else you got?
It's a fairly like adult and competent show. And then you look at Acolyte and it's like terrible. Terrible. It's just like fundamentally from the onset, from the get-go for each of these shows, you have like entirely different philosophies. And one, with a competent team, has made a show that is very good. And then the other one with like incompetence, people who should have never been put in charge. They're writing a show that is on par with like a CW show in terms of dialogue, message, and production value. Why is this happening?
Because we live in the worst timeline. This is the worst one. We live in the worst timeline.
It hurts.
Welcome to hell. It hurts. Anakin, you're breaking my heart.
They've turned you against me. Sorry, Scott. What were you saying?
Nothing.
Okay.
Do we have anything positive for the listeners to talk about?
I don't know, dude. I mean, like, based off of what we watched, not really, because House of the Dragon was a kind of like lead-up episode to Greater Conflict. You got a couple revelations that was pretty good. I mean, we didn't talk about like Daemon bloodlessly taking
Harrenhal,
but that was really cool. That was a cool scene. Shows you that a lot of people distrust Clubfoot guy.
Yep. Even his own father's like, he sucks.
Yeah.
Or uncle, his own uncle. He killed his father and his brother.
Yeah, he killed his father and his brother, yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's build up. Clearly, we're going to get more conflict later. And that's going to be like, it's going to be payoff, right? So this is all set up and we're going to get payoff later on. As opposed to Acolyte, which has just been like, I mean, there's a lot to rip into with Acolyte. Like, we kind of went into the, like, the predatory gaze aspect of the show.
Are you not done? Do you have more?
There's just so much you can talk about with it. Because, like, Leslie Headland was Harvey Weinstein's assistant, and half of the freaking argument for, like, why was he bad is because, like, he was predatory against women, you know? And then would do, like, put them into, like, predatory, uncomfortable situations on sets and things. And then you've got actors in fucking Star Wars now who are butt naked filming scenes. And how is that any different? Like, is the idea for, like, that we're going to treat everyone on sets with respect? Or is it like, oh, we're going to get revenge now? Because that's what it feels like to me.
Don't know. I don't know.
And I'm sick of this idea that, like, to elevate someone else, we have to, like, step on someone first, right? This idea that we can't, like, stick a box under everyone, but someone has to, like, step on top of someone to be elevated, right? So, like, we can't elevate women without stepping on men. We can't bring in more inclusion and diversity without stepping on, I don't know, white people or white adjacent individuals. So, like, we haven't touched on this in a while, but there's been some pretty heavy backlash against the Assassin's Creed stuff in Japan.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Where now I am starting to get recommended videos from Japanese YouTubers who are basically saying, like, this is kind of racist. And a lot of us are pretty sick of this.
Yeah, they're trying to boycott it in Japan.
Yeah. Where you're seeing, like, not surveys. What's the thing where you sign it?
Petitions.
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 So now you're seeing, like, petitions from, like, that are Japanese based that have, like, 30,000 plus signatures basically saying, like, you guys should cancel Assassin's Creed Shadows, right?
Yeah.
So, like, it's not just us silly white guys who are getting mad about this. It's the entire world is getting mad about bad diversity choices and taking stories and making them about things other than what the franchise was originally supposed to be about. So I guess this is like the fruit of my anger this episode, I guess. It's just that, like, I don't think it's about race. I don't think it's about gender. I think it's about people worming their ways into these companies and then trying to push their agenda, which is not in line whatsoever with what the consumers are consuming the product for. And I don't think it has anything to do with bigotry or racism or misogyny or anything like that. I think as people look at these things to relax or get their mind off of the fact that, like, gas is almost at $4 a gallon right now, that food prices have shot up to ridiculous levels, that
well, entertainment's always been about escapism, right?
Yeah.
That's always kind of been the general point of it.
And at the end of the day, you want to see the good guy. And in something like Star Wars, where, like, there is good, there is bad, you want to see the good guy win. Or, if you're going to do something subversive, make a show about the bad guy where the bad guy wins. And in doing so, becomes something of, like, an anti-hero, where you can root for them because you know so much about them and you've seen their struggle, right?
Yeah.
But that's not what we're getting.
No, it's not.
And it's just frustrating. It's super frustrating. I'm sweating.
God, you're really worked up about this.
I was yelling with my hands. I don't know if you guys could hear it through the mic, but my hands were fucking going for that. Oh, man.
Yeah, it's not been great.
All right, I guess we're pretty much at the end. Do we have, like, any non sequitur conversations? Anything you've just been, like, enjoying in life, I guess?
I've been watching The Bear, and it's really good.
Yeah, it's funny, the discourse around The Bear Season 3. So many people, like, the fans are really upset. And it's funny because it's like, it's critically, like, this season, you could say, is a filler season. Like, I wouldn't say that really the characters change or grow that much in this season compared to previous seasons, but it's just so well done that you're like, you don't really care that much. Like, I don't really care that much. I just want to, like, be with these characters more. So it hasn't been a struggle for me, but people have been really upset.
That first episode of this season, it's just something about it was so beautifully shot.
Yeah.
And done. It's just nice. But yeah, I've been enjoying that. Yeah.
It's a very good show.
Very well done.
I'm trying to think if I've watched anything.
Besides that and Hot D, I don't really have much else. That and Hot D.
Yeah, I've just been going further down the GunTuber rabbit hole. I've watched a ton of administrative results videos.
Administrative results is good.
Yeah, he's pretty solid.
He doesn't wear the mask anymore, right?
No, he doesn't. But
Okay.
for little skits and things, it'll often be like him kind of against himself in the mask.
Okay.
But I think just because of the nature of the videos I was clicking on for watching his stuff, I watched all of his like World War II weapons videos first. So I just kept getting these videos where it's him like LARPing as a German soldier because he's reviewing like MG42s or MP40s and stuff like that. And I was like, how did this guy not get canceled for this?
Yeah, they're all beyond that at this point.
Yeah. But like his stuff is really good. Like it actually got me kind of interested in the Rhodesian Bush War because it's such a weird thing that happened that like we're not taught about whatsoever in American schools. I don't know how much it's taught in other schools either, but like Rhodesia became Zimbabwe, I guess. And
yeah,
it was just like a really weird time in history because Great Britain essentially went, Rhodesia, you're your own country now, bye. And then like regional instability just fucking erupted because of it. And then like communists were pumping guns and money into like rebel groups in the area, and shit just went off the fucking rails.
gun tubers.
Yeah. But then, oh man, you just learn so much about history just through like gun reviews.
Everybody needs to go see the movie Long Legs in theaters.
I heard it was really good.
And don't look it up beforehand. Just go see it.
Yeah, and I guess Maxine is out, so if we wanted to, we could try and watch through those.
Wait,
yeah.
Should we do the trilogy?
I guess we can.
The trilogy?
I get paid next Thursday, so I can probably afford to go watch a movie.
All right, let's do it.
I'm going to guilt trip our listeners. You guys need to go into the Patreon and start dropping some fat stacks so we don't have to use our hard-earned cash. We provide you with these hours of content. What do you do for us? What do you do for us, really?
Shut up, dude.
You take and you take and you take.
We're here for them. We're here for them, okay? We provide a product for our consumers, all right?
Yeah, but you pay for a product.
True. True enough, I guess.
Do better. Listeners.
It's only if you did decide to give us money on Patreon, we would appreciate it. It would only be going back into the podcast because it would be for like movies or fucking the 90 subscription services you need now to find the movie you're looking for. But yeah, like at this point, none of it would be going to us really. So that's just something to keep on the table there. I guess though, since we are pretty much at the end, if you did want to do that, you can do that at patreon.com/badpipespodcast. We got 2 tiers. First tier is Space Wizard. You can become a Space Wizard for $1, or you can get a seat on the council for $10. Both of those, we would call you out here at the end of the podcast, just your username or whatever you want us to say. Also, I was thinking at some point, if possible, doing like a live review or something of shows that are coming out.
Mm-hmm.
That would be possible through Discord. So if we got enough people, we'd probably get a Discord set up so we can do that. If you want to argue with Scott on Twitter, he will not respond to any of your heinous allegations against him, but he is at BadPipesPod if you want to yap at me or look at how I just respond to insane Collider articles on Twitter. You can do that at, I think it's CryptidWorksYT on Twitter there. I set up a new email for the podcast. It's just CryptidWorksPod. It's not that. It is badpipespodcast@gmail.com. Email us if you have a question or a recommendation or anything like that. The old email also works. That's cryptidworks@gmail.com, but I've been using that for other stuff, so either one works. I'll see it. Oh yeah, music. Carl Casey at Whitebat Audio. Good stuff. Is that it? Is that everything?
I think so.
And maybe if we get enough people on Patreon, we'll record like non-film specific episodes and just stick them on Patreon. So maybe we'll complain about the election more over there. Or
what do you want to hear us complain about? That's
the
really
insane cost of deodorant because of inflation or something. I don't know.
Dude, everything's so expensive. It's crazy.
It's ridiculous. All right. I hope life has been kind to you, and I hope you enjoyed this episode.
Bye.
Good night.
Yep.